Okay, I want to welcome everyone to episode 50 of Brushstrokes and B Movies. I'm your host, Steve Stones. With me this evening is my good friend and co-blogger.
Doug Gibson, hi, and I'm wearing a Dracula shirt today. It's Bela Lugosi's birthday.
So, in celebration of Bela Lugosi's 142nd birthday, we're going to be viewing the classic 1931 Dracula. Let's go ahead and get the film started.
Let's go, and I want to point something out right when it starts.
Here we go.
Okay, don't unauthorized reproduction of this, okay?
Let's make sure we have the volume up enough.
So you can all hear it.
And it's very fitting that we're watching Dracula on my 50th show.
Yes, that's true. And can they finally get to the movie, by the way?
There we go.
Here we go. Well, almost. We're getting there.
All the Universal Studios intro stuff.
If only Universal could make decent movies today in their new horror films.
Well, they did make George Romero, or they produced George Romero's Land of the Dead.
Yeah, I'm talking about though the last couple of years. Remember that mummy horrific film with Tom Cruise?
You know, and I've never seen that.
Oh, you're
Maybe
lucky.
I shouldn't.
You're lucky. Okay, look down at the far corner. Carl Laemmle, Prescient. A little typo.
Yeah, somebody made a typo error there.
Hamilton Dean and John L. Balderston is the did the play.
You know, I consider Doug to be quite the scholar of Bela Lugosi and Dracula.
Oh, I don't know.
He's going to do most of the talking this evening.
Cinematographer Carl Fruend and directed by Todd Browning. This was not Lugosi's first film with Browning. He made The 13th Stair, which I watched last night in the middle of the night. Okay, what a cast. Helen Chandler, David Manners, Dwight Fry, Edward Van Sloan, and Bela Lugosi, of course, at the top. This was the first Universal horror film really in the sound era, and it made Universal a bundle. They were losing a ton of money.
And it premiered on Valentine's Day.
It did, and they used to call it they called it The Strangest Love. They tried to pitch it as a romance movie early on. Now you're going to see Carla Laemmle, who is related to the Laemmle family, the guys who owned it. She's going to be the first person talking.
She lived to be over 100 years old.
Yeah, she lived a long time. That's her. That's Dwight Fry.
Let's turn it up even more.
Okay. If you watch, this woman's skeptical. She had, in the original script, she had more lines. I don't think she even talks in this scene. My wife knows what they're saying. It's Hungarian. Palinka is a type of drink, alcoholic drink. And bor and sor mean beer and wine.
You know, in 1999, Universal Studios asked composer Philip Glass to create new music for this film, and Doug and I are both in agreement that although we both respect Mr. Glass, we feel that the Philip Glass music really does not make
It distracts from the film. I'm fine with the opening one, which is Swan Lake, and then the movie.
Mm-hmm. So we prefer this score that you always see on these Universal prints.
You know, the Dwight Fry character is interesting. Obviously, he was a single man. He must not have had very many friends because nobody really missed him, you know, in London.
Well, I'm sorry, but there's a carriage meeting me at Borgo Pass at midnight. Borgo Pass? Yes.
And of course, in the book, it's Jonathan Harker.
Dracula. Count Dracula. Yes.
Ay, caramba. You know, when he was coming down that carriage,
Castle Dracula.
down that hill, that's almost iconic. You know,
Yes,
that
that's
little
where I'm going.
setting.
To the castle.
Well, and there's a lot of iconic imagery in this film, and we're going to point them all out.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
We people of the mountains believe at the castle there are vampires. Dracula and his wives. They take the form of wolves and bats. They leave their
I think that gentleman's in other horror films. I can't remember his name now. He might even be in Mark of the Vampire.
It seems that you and I were watching a film together once, and you pointed him out in another film.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was.
I can't recall either right now. He's not listed in the credits, so it's hard to remember the name.
The sun. Let these fallen they leave their coffins. We must go indoors. But wait.
You know, the cinematographer Carl Freund directed The Mummy.
And he also worked on The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yes, very young. Good
in
point.
1922.
I've got to go. Really.
That says beer, wine, and palinka, and I don't know why I'm telling you that, okay? I'm learning Hungarian, people.
No, we like to hear that.
Wait, please.
For your mother.
You must go. Wear this. For your mother's sake. It will protect you.
The budget for this film was $341,191, but it made a profit. A big profit.
Oh, excuse me.
It's okay. This is all filmed on the Universal backlot. This looks like a painting to me. What do you
Yeah,
think?
this is a matte painting.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is. That's a little model that was built.
Yeah, this is an impressive set. I love this scene.
See, most prints of this film, you watch this scene here and they're really dark. You don't get to see all the details of the soil on the ground.
Yeah, they've really improved things with Blu-ray and stuff like that.
I love how the Count is never in a hurry to get out of his coffin. He just seems to kind of leisurely...
He's been alive for a long time. That's one of his brides. You know what I find so interesting is how they make the bugs and the insects. They put them next to smaller things. Not necessarily in this case, but other cases.
This is an iconic scene.
Oh, it
right
certainly
here.
is, yeah.
And you wonder what the Count is staring at. He's not really staring at anything. He's just...
He's more dead than alive. He's showing his true personality here. There he is. I love the way the guy gets there and just takes off. He's petrified. Post it. The atmosphere. A lot of German expressionism in this film.
Well, since Carl Freund that you
Yeah,
pointed
he
out
honed
earlier.
his craft on those movies you're mentioning. Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
It seems like it was David J. Skoll's analysis of this film. He said that it has some aspects of a silent film.
You could make this movie in silent if you wanted to. In fact, you know what? Back in 1931, it's probably lost now, but there probably was a silent version because not all of the screens across the country were wired for sound. Yeah.
Well, the scene where the maidens come into the room after Renfield is fainted, that's the scene that David J. Skoll, I believe, he was saying there's something about that scene that is typical of silent era films.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to that scene coming up here.
This is a mixture of live action and I think a background.
Hi, driver.
Hi, driver. Hi is a word in England for, or in Europe for, hey, driver. Hi, driver. That's a creepy little scene right there. Now, Dwight Fry also played Renfield on the stage.
I played driver. What do you mean by going at this?
He later went on to star in The Vampire Bat with Fay Wray.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? The Vampire Bat, his character in The Vampire Bat always reminds me of the character in Manos. A lot.
Yeah, Torgo.
Torgo, yeah. Boy, this is so atmospheric. I think the first 30 minutes of Dracula is perfect. And then I still love the rest of the film too, but I think they achieve perfection all the way up until you see one Francis Dade's character die. Boom, 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 boom. Look at how majestic and high that is.
See, there's long periods of drawn-out silence in
And
this
stuff
film.
like this is effective, though. The bat squeaking, you know. Here comes Bela. Another iconic scene right here of him coming down there. And Armadillos is iconic because armadillos are not in Transylvania, but it's interesting, isn't it? Look at that spider's web, too.
Well, I love it later on when he says, "I will do very little repair."
Yeah.
Because you can see it here. I mean, he's not really making any effort to clean up the place or repair it.
He doesn't need to.
I am
Try.
Dracula. Oh, it's really good to see you. I don't know what happened to the driver and my luggage and with all this, I thought I was in the wrong place. I bid you welcome.
I love when he walks through. Well, I shouldn't be giving this away. There's a huge spider's web. Oh, I love this line.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
You know, in the Spanish version, they have Dracula speak more, as in the original script. Browning cut a lot of his dialogue here, and I think it's more effective. He's not a chatterbox.
He doesn't really need to say much.
No.
I mean,
See him walk right through that?
but yet Renfield has to bat it down with his cane to get through it.
And when Dracula says his next thing, I think he's talking about Renfield, all right, frankly.
So he's got to bat down all these spider webs to get through them.
Look at the size of that sucker, too. Here's the line.
The spider spinning his web for the unwary fly. The blood is the light, Mr. Renfield. Yes.
So we could spend a couple minutes talking about the career of Dwight Fry here. He died at a very young age.
He was a Christian Scientist. Look how nice it is here, though, where he set it up for him. And he didn't really believe in doctors. He also worked, I think, at Douglas, you know, making parts for the war and stuff like that in the Los Angeles County area.
He was only in his early 40s, or late 30s when he passed away.
Yeah, if you see him in the movie Dead Man Walk, where he plays a Renfield type character, he's much older. Much older.
Allow me. Oh, yes.
So when you mentioned earlier that he played this role on the stage, I should know this and I don't. Was it with Lugosi, or was it with the different production company that was doing
Dwight Fry?
Yes.
No, he played with the New York production of Lugosi, of Dracula. So did Edward Van Sloan, who will see us Dr. Van Helsing.
Well, are there prints of this film where Edward Van Sloan comes out and introduces the film like he does in Frankenstein?
They
Probably
don't.
not.
They are considered too messed up, too old to
I
share.
thought you have kept your coming here a secret.
I followed your instructions in.
You can tell that Dwight Fry's character
Excuse
is much more. Renfield is much more calm now because he sees this nice place, you know.
And now, if you're not too fatigued, I would like to discuss the lease on Carfax Abbey.
Dracula's like playing a role here and everything.
Everything is in order, awaiting your signature.
Look at that piercing eyes.
Well, here's the lease. Why, I hope I've brought enough labels for
It
your
almost
luggage.
looks like he has claws,
I'm
Yeah.
taking with me
like
only 3
Nosferatu.
That's true.
Very well.
I have chartered a ship. Take us to England. We will be leaving.
You see how he talks slowly because he's been alive for hundreds and hundreds of years. They say Bela Lugosi, when they were filming this film, would stand in front of a mirror saying, "I am Dracula," practicing constantly.
I hope you will find this comfortable.
Thanks. It looks very inviting. Ouch.
See, if we contrast this to Nosferatu in 1922, it's Harker that cuts himself with a bread knife.
Mm-hmm.
And here, it's Renfield cutting himself with a paper clip.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? Ah, look at this.
Oh, it's nothing serious. Just a small cut from that paperclip. It's just a scratch.
We're going to have an iconic line coming up soon that people that don't even know Dracula might have heard.
This is very old wine. I hope you will like it.
There's no debate on whether he'll drink it. He plans for him to drink it. Here it
Aren't
comes.
you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
That's just a little bit of humor in the movie.
And then they use that line again in the Ed Wood movie,
Yeah, they do. You're right.
where Lugosi's sitting at the Brown Derby with all of Ed Wood's menagerie of actors.
Criswell's asking him to say it in that movie, right?
I never drink wine.
Well, good night.
Now he like gives himself away in this movie, in this scene, by letting the door
Good
open.
night,
Mr.
Mr.
Renfield. Lugosi has so much screen presence in this movie.
So it's the wine that makes him faint,
Yeah.
right?
By the way, these women are Geraldine Dvorak, Cornelia Thaw, and Dorothy Tree. Don't ask me to name which ones they are, but those are the three women. Now this scene is interesting, and you were about to mention something about the brides right here.
Well, David J. Schall was just saying that this scene is very typical of silent era film, where it's just drawn out silence
Ah, yeah.
for a long period of time.
He obviously is passed out from the wine. They come like praying mantises, don't they, man? Looking at this.
You know, speaking of Manos, the women of Manos are dressed kind of like that. I wonder
Could have been.
if their gowns were inspired by this film. I don't know.
It could have been. Lugosi says, "Get away." I recall in the book, though, the brides do feast on Harker a little bit.
See, this is such a long, drawn-out sequence of silence.
I'm trying to find out now. We're going to get to... Okay, this is from a lost silent movie obviously this part is still available now, but the rest of the movie is lost.
So this is stock footage?
Yeah, from a silent film.
Probably not the text, just the...
No, not the text. This is a silent movie, and I used to know the name of it. Oh, it's called The Stormbreaker. It was called The Stormbreaker.
Master, the sun is gone.
See, he very slowly creeps out of this crate like he does it out of his coffin.
Yeah, he does. And they say the herky-jerky is because they had to mesh the silent sound speed.
Promise when we get to London, won't you, Master?
Look at that look.
You will see that I get lives. Not human lives, but small ones, with blood in them. I'll be loyal to you, Master. I'll be loyal.
You know, pretty soon you're gonna hear the voice of the harbor master, and that is Todd Browning talking.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Must be a Scandinavian ship, that's what it is to me. Here now, get back. Nobody goes aboard this here boat with your party.
Captain dead, tied to the wheel. Horrible tragedy, horrible tragedy.
Master, we are here. You can't hear what I'm saying, but we are here. We are safe.
They must have come through it.
Now what he's about to do, that laugh scared my daughter Mary when she was younger.
What's that?
She watched it. Look at his eyes. He's mad.
Why? Come from that hatchway.
This is iconic too. I think this look.
Why, he's mad. Look at his eyes. Why, the man's gone crazy.
Dun, dun. I'm trying to find out who the actress is. I can't remember her name now. She's not in the credits.
That plays the nurse?
No, she plays the flower girl. And you're going to see her. I can't remember her name now, I'm sorry. But she was a local actress in LA, stage actress. And she used to entertain her friends, you know, by showing her one. My understanding, she made only this movie. Here. He's so tall in this scene.
She doesn't make any attempt to...
She's hypnotized.
Yeah.
And then I love the way he's deliberately walking through at a very slow pace, but deliberate pace here. He knows exactly where he's going to go. Of course, there she is, presumably deceased now. I love this scene coming up. It's just so superb. It's well done. I believe he hypnotizes this woman to some degree. That's Helen Chandler playing Mina on the left. Well, she just turned away for a second, but
David Manners.
David Manners. Helen Chandler was in a 1928 Broadway play called The Silent House that Todd Browning saw and thought she'd be a good Mina. And there's Herbert Bunsen, I believe, is Dr. Seward, and that's Frances Dade. And Frances Dade plays Helen's, what is her name again?
And after you deliver the message,
Lucy Weston.
you will remember nothing, I now say.
Herbert Bunsen's Dr. Seward.
Obey.
I think that, not the maid, but she's a person there.
Dr. Stewart,
Yes?
you're wanted on the telephone.
Oh, thank you.
She got off easy.
Excuse me,
Oh,
yes?
Father, if it's from home, will you say I'm spending the night in town with Lucy?
All right, yeah.
There's always this debate. Who's better, Helen Chandler or Lupita Tovar
Your name.
in the Spanish
Might I
Dracula?
inquire if you are the Dr. Seward whose sanitarium is at Whitby?
Why, yes.
I'm Count Dracula.
Well, Lupita Tovar, as you and I have discussed on many occasions, is meant to be more of a sexy.
She's more of a sexual creature. Helen Chandler's place that's very, very prim and
My
proper.
daughter, Mina,
Count Dracula.
Miss Weston,
She's supposed to be a little bit more promiscuous.
and Mr. Harker.
Yes.
How do you do?
Not promiscuous, but more free, in her
Oh, it'll
thinking.
be a relief to see lights in the dismal old
Didn't you
window.
tell me in a conversation we had one time, and I could be mistaken, that David Manners
Yeah, they could be very
had
attractive.
some negative
I
things to
imagine
say
it'd be
about
quite
this film, or he
expensive
kind of
repair.
distanced himself from it?
A
or-
lot of people, even Edward
should do
Van
very
Sloan,
little
you know, these films, they probably would regret saying that now.
It reminds me of the broken battlement.
Oh, like,
Of my own
because
castle.
it made their careers, to be honest. Manners wouldn't be known for anything if he hadn't made all these Universal movies. I like this line.
Lofty timbers, the walls around are bare, echoing to our laughter, as though the dead were there.
Nice little sentiment.
But there's more, even nicer.
Great line from Lugosi
Half
coming
a
up.
cup to the dead already. Hurrah for the next to die. Oh, never mind the rest, dear.
To die. To be really dead. That must be glorious.
Well, Count Dracula.
There are far worse things waiting, man.
Look at the look he gives Lucy Weston.
Well, plus, notice the lights.
Light
are-
going dimming,
Yeah,
yeah.
the light's dimming as he's making that line,
Yes, exactly.
or as he's delivering the line, I should say.
Yeah, you know, Gary Rhodes makes some comments in the scene coming up, not right. Yeah, like little things that show. It's hard for me to remember what he wrote in Todd Browning's Dracula, but
Well, we could talk about the cardboard on the lampshade, but
later, yes.
maybe we
but,
don't need.
But if you look at that shade, doesn't that look like a cape or something? You know, not the shade. I mean the shadow.
Laugh all you like. I think he's fascinating.
Oh, I suppose he's all right. But give me someone a little more.
Helen Chandler was married to Bramwell Fletcher, who's the one driven crazy in The Mummy.
Like John.
But they divorced. Chandler, unfortunately, by 1940, was out of films and sort of, she was an alcoholic. It's sort of a tragic story. She eventually died in the early 60s.
Well, Countess. I'll leave you to your count and his ruined navvy. Good night, Lucy. Good night, dear.
Fog seems to be closing down a bit now.
That's Dracula walking by. For years, I missed that when I was watching this movie. So up to this point, I think the film is absolutely perfect. It gets a little stagey after that, but it still is an A+ movie for me. If you're in the 1930s watching this, you're seeing somebody even today you'd think in the safety of their own bedroom, basically being violated and turned into a vampire. And I never understood. I don't know if she's being hypnotized right now, if she just falls asleep. Because her eyes open for a long time. Now she does close them.
See more long sequences of no sound.
I think it's very effective. Remember, this Dracula does not have fangs either. And then she's dead. They have scenes like this in Dracula's Daughter also.
Dr. Seward, when did Miss Weston have the last transfusion? About 4 hours ago. An unnatural loss of blood, which we've been powerless to check. On the throat of each victim, the same 2 marks.
Now here we are at the Seward Sanitarium, and you're going to see an actor named Charles Gerard, who plays the comedy role in this film. A lot of these Universal films would have sort of a comic character.
This is him, right?
He's coming up. That's our Renfield. He's in this.
This guy here.
Yeah.
Please, no, Martin, don't throw my father away from me. Oh, Martin. Aren't you ashamed?
Aren't you ashamed now?
Spiders now, is it? Flies ain't good enough. Flies? Flies? Poor, puny things. Who wants to eat flies? You do, you loony. Not when I can get nice, fat spiders. All right. Have it your own way.
There's our Edward Van Sloan. I don't think you've had a better, like Dr. Van Helsing type, since Donald Pleasance in Halloween, in my opinion. Some might disagree, though. Lady Jane in Return of the Vampire, maybe. Pretty good.
Dende, cum extractum vespertilionis sanguini mixtum est, sanguis puniceo colore amisso lacteus fit. Gentlemen, we are dealing with the undead.
You know, Edward Van Sloan criticized this movie, but he did go to he went to Bela Lugosi's funeral.
Undead. The vampire.
In 1956.
Yeah.
The vampire attacks the throat. It leaves 2 little wounds. White with red skin. Dr. Seward, your patient Renfield, whose blood I have just analyzed, is obsessed with the idea that he must devour living things in order to sustain his own life.
But Professor Van Helsing, modern medical science does not admit of such a creature. The vampires appear.
This is a slow scene, but it's a necessary scene to establish Dr. Van Helsing's
That the
theory.
superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
But Professor, Renfield's cravings have always been for small living things. Nothing human.
As far as we know, Doctor.
Steve, when's the first time you saw this movie?
But you tell me that he escapes from his room.
I think I remember turning it on about 1978. I turned on my little black and white JCPenney television set in my bedroom, and it was on one of the local Utah channels
Well, Mr.
in
Renfield,
October of that year.
you are looking much
Okay.
better than you did this
I
morning when
I
arrived.
saw it as a teenager. I can't remember the year.
Feeling much better. I am here to help you. You understand that, do you not?
But I don't remember sitting through the entire movie,
Of
though.
course. And I'm very grateful.
So I don't think I saw the entire movie until 1987.
Keep your filthy hands to
Okay.
yourself. Now, Renfield.
You see the conflict in Dwight Fry's character.
Oh, Dr. Stewart.
He's under the control
Send
of
me away from
Dracula,
this place. Send
but
me
he also
far.
realizes it's
Why
wrong.
are you so anxious
But he's
to
powerless.
get away? My cries at night, they might disturb Miss Mina. Eh? They might give her bad dreams, Professor Van Helsing. Bad dreams.
You know, Universal first had a Pulitzer Prize winning novelist to pen the script, and he wanted to make Dracula two people, an old man who's then rejuvenated, and he wanted to bring Jonathan Harker, but they just felt the budget couldn't require that kind of stuff.
One of the criticisms I have of the Spanish language version is that every time the actor gets out of his coffin, all this smoke comes out. It's like, why would his coffin be on fire? Why would the coffin have smoke coming out of it?
That's kind of funny because the 1950s vampire movies also are heavy on smoke, aren't they?
The owls and owls back. He's crazy.
He's crazy!
I'm trying to find my remote. I dropped
I
it.
might have known. We know why the wolves talk, do we not, Mr. Renfield? And we know
You know too much to live. I love this
how
line.
we can make them stop. You know too much to live, Van Helsing. Now, Renfield.
Dr. Seward always seems like he's not quite getting anything, you know? He definitely does follow Van Helsing as the movie goes on.
I'm warning you, Dr. Stewart. If you don't send me away, you must answer for what will happen to Miss Mina. All right, Martin. Come along now. Come along. What was that herb that excited him so?
Well, anyways, the guy who eventually wrote the script was Garrett Fort. You saw him in the... He decided to forget about trying to do too much of the novel and went to the stage play.
Renfield reacted very violently to its sin. Stewart, I want you to have Renfield closely watched by day and night, especially by night.
Renfield does inspire sympathy in this movie. Dwight Frye was a very powerful actor. He also uses his eyes to get effect.
Master. Master, you've come back. Oh, Master, please. Please don't ask me to do that. Don't. Not her.
See how Dracula can convey his wishes to him, his commands, without even saying anything.
Please don't, Master.
Renfield does not want to hurt Mina.
Please. Oh, don't.
There's that piece of cardboard on the...
People have criticized that. But if
Maybe I shouldn't bring it up, but...
Well, no, people have criticized it, but I don't think it's a problem. They want to keep the light on, but they want her to be able to sleep, right?
Well, I didn't really notice it until I read that book you loaned me that discusses the cardboard on the lampshade.
Yeah, and that book is very good.
Remind our viewers of the title of the book and who wrote it.
It's Todd Browning's Dracula by Gary Rhodes.
Yeah.
Reading. And just as I was
This is one of my favorite
getting
scenes
drowsy,
in the movie.
I heard dogs
I
howl.
will say one thing, in the Dracula play, it was a big
It
mirror,
really came.
but they changed it to like a music box
It
mirror
seemed the whole room was filled with mist.
in the movie.
It was so thick, I could just see the lamp by the bed. A tiny spark in the fog. And then I saw two red eyes staring at me. And a white
Excuse
I love the
face
strange little short
came
pants
down out of the mist.
that go down to the
Came
ankles
closer.
that young men wore back then, I guess.
I felt its breath on my face.
I think Helen Chandler's doing a very good job right now of
Dear,
describing what she's going
It was
through,
only a dream.
acting wise.
And then in the morning, I felt so weak. It seemed as if all the light
You know who
in the
Conrad
radio-
Veidt is, of course, right?
Darling,
From the Cabinet of Dr.
We're gonna
Call
forget
Dollar.
all about
He was the first person
think about something
this was
cheerful,
intended for.
aren't we?
Then they wanted
Now,
Lon Chaney,
Oh, certainly, Professor.
but Chaney died.
Think for a moment.
In 1929.
Is
Yeah.
there anything
They even announced
like
John
Rock
Ray,
dream
a movie
of?
who was in All Quiet on the Western Front, as being announced the cast.
Doctor.
But people tend to think Lugosi always had the inside track. They didn't want to pay him a lot of money
And the face
Kept him
in the
guessing.
dream.
at that point.
You say it seemed to come closer and closer.
Watch Helen Chandler. She's already been bitten.
Well,
Watch her reaction when she sees Bela,
is there
Count
anything
Dracula.
the matter with your throat?
Oh, no, but I...
Permit me.
No, please.
Yes. Yes. How long have you had those little marks?
Marks?
Please,
Mina, why didn't you let us know?
do not excite her. When, Miss Mina?
Oh, Steve, I have a great idea for painting for you.
Since the morning after the dream.
Lugosi looking through the window at the bats in Devil Bat.
What could have caused them, Professor?
Count Dracula.
Yeah. With the goggles on.
Yeah, I was watching that movie and thinking Steve could do a great job with that today.
It's good to see you back again.
Well, the look on his face.
I know, that's the whole thing, the look on his face. Look at her perk up. She sees Count Dracula.
You
It was just like the look on his. Well, not like it, but
Exceptional pardon.
Same intensity.
yeah, when they open the coffin
I think
and
Miss Mina should go to her room at
the
once.
corpse vanishes. when it's in
Yeah,
the
good
back.
point.
I don't believe it's as
Good
important
point.
as you seem to
See,
think
my
it is.
phone's ringing.
Excuse me, Count Dracula, Professor Van Helsing.
Oh, those modern inconveniences. Count Dracula. I love it when he says, a name we know from the wilds.
a most distinguished science, whose name we know,
No.
even in the wilds
Leviathan.
of Transylvania.
I had a frightful dream a few
She
nights
wants his
ago,
attention.
and I don't seem to be able to get it out of my mind.
I hope you haven't taken my stories too seriously.
Stories?
Do you think David Manner's best
Yes.
performance might be in The Black Cat?
In my humble effort to amuse your fiancé, Mr. Harker,
Yeah.
I just
I
think
was
poor
telling
guy, he's
her
just not that
some
great in the other
rather
ones.
Grim tales of my far-off country.
I can imagine.
Why, John,
There's the music box, and watch what he sees.
I can quite understand the Harker concern. I'm afraid it's quite serious.
My dear, I'm sure Count Dracula will excuse you. You must go to your room.
This is very well
Professor
shot.
Van Helsing suggests.
oh, but really, Father, I'm feeling quite well.
You had better do as your father advises.
Very well. Good night, John.
Van Helsing has no fear of. I mean, he's aware of his danger, but he has no fear of Dracula. It seems
Miss
like.
Mina, may I call later and inquire how you are feeling?
Why, yes. Thank you.
This is so perfect. This scene.
I'm sorry, Doctor. My visit was so ill-timed.
Not at all. On the contrary.
I wish I could get pants like David Manners has. or
In
the
fact, before
church
you go,
someday or something.
you can be objective.
You would wear those to church?
Yeah, why
Anything
not?
I can do. I'm glad.
They look like they'd be used for golfing.
That's a, I hadn't even thought of that. You're probably right.
I stumbled upon a most
Are you a golfer, Doug? I know you're a tennis player.
I used to golf years ago, but haven't golfed in a long time. Here it is.
Trust my own judgment. Look.
That look he gives him.
In the Spanish language version, the actor hits it with his cane
He
really
does.
hard.
You're right. Look at Van Helsing's satisfaction in that look. Watch Lugosi basically admit to everything right now at the end. His
I
last-
dislike mirrors. Van Helsing will explain. For one who has not lived even a single lifetime, you are a wise man,
Van
Van
Helsing.
Helsing.
Dwight Frye had to beat out Bernard
What on earth
Jukes,
caused that?
who also played Renfield in Broadway, and I think also in England.
What's that? Running across the lawn. Looks like a huge dog. Or a wolf? A wolf? He was afraid we might follow. Follow? Sometimes they take the form of wolves, but generally of bats.
What are you talking about?
Dracula.
But what's Dracula got to do with wolves and bats?
Dracula is our vampire.
But surely, Professor.
A vampire casts no reflection in the glass.
We said
That is
Dracula
why
cost
Dracula
$341,000 to make.
I don't mean to be rude, but
It made a $700,000 profit, according to something I just read.
And that is what your English doctors would say. Your police.
And then Lugosi goes on to be
Strength of the
a pop
vampire is
culture
that people will
commodity
not
where, I mean, you see Dracula t-shirts, action figures, lunch pails,
Everything.
collect all kinds of Dracula collectibles.
It's a shame he couldn't profit from it during his lifetime. Hey, he just has his way with Mina right now.
So you and I were talking before the show started, that this film
Professor,
premiered on
vampires don't exist in
Valentine's
ghost
Day
stories.
in
A vampire,
1931.
Mr. Harker.
Yeah, it did. And it was
Anything
called like
that
the
lives
world's
after its death by
strangest
the blood of the
romance.
living, it must
I
have
think
blood.
Universal was trying to get away from the horror element,
Power lasts only from
They were worried a
sunset
little
to
bit.
sunrise.
but eventually
During the
that
hours of the
strangest
day, it
romance
must
thing didn't
rest
really
in the earth,
work.
in which it was very
One thing is,
But then,
before
if Dracula was a
Dracula,
vampire, he'd have to return every night to Transylvania.
for a long time, vampire meant an overly promiscuous woman or predatory woman who would enslave men.
Like Theda Bara.
Theda Bara, yeah, like in the movie A Fool There Was.
Uh-huh.
Renfield?
Bum,
What are you doing
bum.
there? Come here. Did you hear what we were saying?
Yes, I heard something. Enough. Be guided by what he says. It's your only hope.
God, you know who Renfield reminds me of in a strange way? The guy who's the voice of Doom in House on Haunted Hill. What's that actor's name
Now
again?
it's too late. It's happened again.
Yeah, he was in Messiah of Evil too.
Yeah, what is his name, darn it?
I forget.
I can't remember either.
Take her away from here. Take her away before.
See, this is Renfield's personality, one way or the other, trying to be good and then be bad.
No, no, Master. I wasn't going to say anything. I told him nothing. I'm loyal to you, Master.
What have you to do with Dracula?
Dracula?
Elisha Cook Jr. is in House on Haunted Hill.
And Messiah of Evil,
I never
1973.
even heard the name before.
He plays a homeless man.
If you die
Yeah,
with
he-
innocent blood on your souls.
We reviewed that recently also. You did, actually.
God will not damn a lunatic soul.
God will not damn a
He
lunatic
knows
soul.
that the powers of evil are too great for those of us with weak minds.
Oh, Mr. Hawkins! Mr. Hawkins! Horrible! Oh, it's horrible! Dr. Stewart!
Now, watch the end of this scene. It's very interesting.
When she faints.
Yeah, I don't think this woman's in the credits. But she will faint, then watch Renfield. Browning leaves this scene as very, very menacing because he cuts away as Renfield is crawling with a predatory look in his eye. The Spanish film, we know what Renfield did. Watch him cut away right before he's at her, grabbing her. We find out in the Spanish film that Renfield grabbed a fly and ate it.
In greater danger, for she is already under his influence. Horrible, then, horrible, incredible, perhaps.
And then look at this. Well, this is Dracula, but look, we're going to see Lucy Weston again soon. She's undead.
That's coming up right
Yeah.
here.
In the book, I've never forgot, they call her the Blue Fur Woman. By the way, people, read Dracula. It's one of the finest Gothic novels ever. You'll enjoy it. There's Frances Day as Lucy Weston as a vampire. Browning leaves her fate unknown. But if you read the book and also watch the Spanish version,
Further attacks on small children committed after dark by the mysterious woman in white took place last night. Narratives of two
I've often wondered why someone didn't make a movie focusing on Lucy Weston.
describing a beautiful lady in white who promised
They
her
could.
young
They could easily.
enticed her to
Just
a
like that
secluded
most
spot
recent
and
movie
led
about
her
the
slightly indiscreet-
Someday,
Demeter.
Plan 9 Crunch is going to make a short on Lucy Weston.
And then, Miss Nina? Well, how could she know anything about the woman in white? It's bad enough for her to read it in the newspaper without...
Please, Mr. Hawk. And when was the next
I like
time
when he
you
gets
saw
mad and he
Lucy
throws the
after
newspaper
you were
down.
Well, David Manners is having a hissy fit.
See, I watched a VHS print of this the other night, and this scene here is really dark.
Yeah, it is. His old prince.
So, you watch a Blu-ray print like this, and everything looks sharper, and there's better light.
Helen Chandler is a good actress. She's good in this scene. She doesn't exude a kind of sexuality awakening from Dracula, though. You know that Peter Tovar does.
She looked like a hungry animal. A wolf.
I'll say one thing, though. The actors in this movie
And then she
are
turned.
far better,
Ran
with
back
only the
to
exception of
dog.
Chandler and Tovar, than the actors in the Spanish version.
And there's been a discussion for decades that some critics have suggested that the Spanish language version that was filmed back to back with this version is better. We don't-
David
we
Skoll
don't-
was a brilliant man, and God bless him because he died tragically from a drunk driver hitting him. But I got to tell you something. David Skoll was a big reason people are saying that, and he's just not right.
No, John. You mustn't
Well, I
touch
think even Leonard Maltin gave it one more star in his
ever
book
again.
than this version.
Yeah, it was a fashionable thing to do in the 70s when the film was rediscovered. But I think going on now,
You make him understand.
it's harder and harder to find people to say that. I think Helen Chandler is really good in this
Well,
scene.
and time has proven that this is the better version because whose face is it that's on merchandise? Bela Lugosi's, not the guy that plays.
I will tell you something. I think even people that think the Spanish Dracula is better think Lugosi's better in his role, for sure.
Oh, no.
Carlos Villares tries, but he mugs too much, you know.
I love
Some
you.
people have said that the Renfield character is good, but I just find him screaming all the time in the Spanish version.
Doug and I had the opportunity to see this version back to back with the Spanish language version back in, I think it was 2010.
It was a while ago. We saw him in the theater. Yeah, that was great.
They released them back to back in theaters for like a week, and we were there on the opening
You know what
day.
you're doing to us, Professor? You're driving her crazy.
So we sat through this version, and then we sat
That
through
is what you should be
the
worried
Spanish
about.
language
The
version.
last rays of the day's sun will soon be gone.
You know, you can tell that Edward Van Sloan's a stage actor. He really gives it like it's on the stage
Dr.
right now.
Seward, I'm taking Mina with me to London tonight, or I'll call in the
Wasn't
police.
Edward Van Sloan in that Lugosi serial where he has the big monster, Phantom Creeps?
Yeah.
I could do
Yep.
nothing. Right. Miss Mina, both this room and your bedroom have been prepared with wolfbane. You will be safe if Dracula returns.
I
She'll
think
be
that
safe all right because she's going with me. Mina, I'll be waiting for you in the library.
this is where Dr. Seward sort of stands up
Father,
for Van Helsing's
please
idea.
don't let him go.
So Prince, Miss Mina is to wear this wreath of wolfbane when she goes to bed. Watch her closely and see that she does not remove it in her sleep.
I understand, Professor.
And under no circumstances must these windows be open tonight.
Very well, sir.
I wonder sometimes why he left her alone, though, because Dracula can hypnotize nurses, you know, and things like that. Here he comes.
So if this was the Spanish language version, we'd see all this
The
smoke. coming.
smoke. I
All
don't.
the smoke.
I don't necessarily the smoke is wrong for this movie, but I kind of like him in the '50s vampire movies with Abel Salazar. I wish I could know when those were on the Spanish stations, Spanish language stations.
Recollect.
They never show the movie; they just say película.
Yes,
You
and
have
that
to-
3 boxes of earth were delivered to him at Carfax Abbey. Right. And knowing that a vampire must rest by day in his native soil, I am convinced that this Dracula is no legend, but an undead creature whose life has been unnaturally prolonged.
Well, Dr. Seward, what about it? Is Mina going with me or not?
If you take her from under our protection, you will kill her.
Now, John, please, be patient.
Mr. Please.
Okay, not a hair out of place.
Well,
And he's
John,
about 30 years
I know
old
you
here.
love her,
Yeah.
but don't forget she's my daughter.
David Manning did live. He was a nice guy. He just was a little bit.
Mr.
I think.
I have devoted my lifetime to
I don't think he appreciated the work he did back then. He lived to be almost 100.
which the world is perhaps better off for not knowing.
I know. But, Professor, all I want is to get Mina away
I always
from all
call
this.
it David Manners, but it's Manning, right?
No, it's Manners.
Our
It's
only
Manners.
chance of saving Miss Mina's life. is
I
to
love
find
like that. I love
hiding
the. I love like the
place of
faces on
Dracula
the fireplace and stuff like that.
Isn't this a strange
When I was in Hungary, I went to visit
men who are
castles.
afraid?
It was quite fun.
You're compelling me to put you in the straitjacket.
You forget, Doctor.
So you saw
Bad men
chimneys
have
like that.
Yeah, there's a place we went to, a castle outside, close to Balatone, Lake Balatone.
Words. Oh, Martin, didn't I warn you to keep a strict watch?
What? Again?
Here comes our comedy relief. I don't dislike it though. It's fun.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Here, the doctor's pet Lilia's Lucer guy.
He came and stood below my window in the moonlight. And he promised me things.
Rats.
Not in words, but by doing.
Once again, you see good acting is when characters who aren't involved in the scene are staring at the people. I've seen low-budget films where people outside, when you see them, they're not looking at the actors talking.
A red mist spread over the lawn, coming on like a flame of fire. And then he parted it. And I could see that there were thousands of rats, with their eyes blazing red, like his, only smaller.
Here comes.
And then he held up his hand, and they all stopped. And I thought he seemed to be saying, rats, rats, thousands, millions of them, all red
There's a
blood,
ghosty.
all
Now that you have
these
learned what
will
you
I
have
give
learned.
you.
Exactly. That's a great
If
scene too
you
coming up.
obey.
What did he want you to do?
That which has
It's
already
almost like
been
he's using
done.
the Jedi mind trick on Van
Strike
Helsing.
me down dead,
He
Doctor.
does.
He's got me going. Now he's twisting
and broken them horn balls as if they were
Jennifer
cheese.
says, "Happy birthday to Bela Lugosi."
Well, Bela Lugosi, it is his birthday, number 142.
Born in 1882.
Yes.
Nothing, come with me.
In 2027, I'm going to Romania, which used to be Hungary, and see his place he grew up in.
Come along, old fly.
You've been to his grave a number of times in Hollywood.
Yes, I have. See, we'll have to get there sometime.
Van Helsing,
Now
This is
that you have learned what you have learned.
now that you have learned what you have learned, it would be well for you to return to your own country.
I prefer to remain.
Do you think that Van Helsing was under hypnosis for a second, or just
You
playing
are
with
too
him?
late.
I think he is
My
under
blood
hypnosis.
now
And he fights it off?
I've always thought that every time I've seen this film.
I think you're probably right, definitely.
Through the centuries to come, as I have lived.
Should you escape us, Dracula, we know how to save Miss Mina's soul, if not her life.
If she dies by day, but I shall see that she dies by night.
And I will have Carfax Abbey torn down stone by stone, excavated a mile around.
Come here.
I will find your earth box and drive that stake through your heart.
Come here.
I love when he puts the claw out into the air.
Yeah.
There he goes, right there. That's the painting I made for Doug.
Yes, yes, and I love it. I'm never going to sell it, by the way.
Because if I had to pick an image from this film to paint, that was the one I wanted to use.
Fantastic. So he almost grabs him here, but he fights it off.
So Bela's 48 years old here. He would have turned 49 later this year, but he's 48 years old in this role.
Yeah, you're right. He wasn't quite even 50.
He still in my view, he still looks young.
Will
Oh, yeah.
is strong, Van Helsing.
More wolf
Wolfbane,
No.
more effective than Wolfbane, Count. Indeed.
So they show a I can't remember if they show something running across the grass. Okay, this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I even like it more in the Spanish version, but it's still a very strong scene coming up.
Please go back to that at once. I'm going to call your father.
Or maybe not quite. Maybe it's
I
later.
don't know, Mr. Hawker.
We're getting near the end of the film
I
now.
felt strangely dizzy. And when it cleared away, Miss Mina was up and dressed and out of the
She
tent.
was
And I couldn't get her to
hypnotized.
bed.
Well, let me see her. Tell her I'm here.
Yeah, here it is.
John, I'm so glad you're here. But what have they been doing to me, dear?
The look in Helen Chandler's eyes is very effective. It's probably better than the Lupita Tovar's look
It's been like a nightmare.
when she gets really into it.
It's been the night.
Lupita Tovar's another one like David Manners that lived to be over 100 years old.
Mina,
Well, Lupita Tovar lived to be 106. I think Manners might have died at 98.
like a
Oh, I was
changed
thinking he
girl.
lived to 100.
Oh, you look wonderful.
I feel wonderful. I've never felt better in my life.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you like this. I've been awfully worried about you.
Mr. Hawker, you'd better bring Miss Mina inside.
That's all right, Briggs. Now that I'm here.
Poor Harker. He in this movie he's just clueless almost all the whole way until the very end.
John, look, the fog's lifting.
I love the way she looks at his
I
neck
can see the stars.
I know
Yes.
that is very. I hadn't really noticed that
Millions
until
of
now.
right here.
Yeah, that's
I've
very.
never seen them so close.
She's zooming in on his
Why, it looks
neck
as if you
because
could
she
reach
wants
out
to
and touch
bite him.
Yeah.
Would you like me to get you a hat? Why? What's the matter?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all.
She's calling for help.
Let's sit
Yeah.
down.
Stuart, that which I feared from the beginning has happened. What? Dracula boasts that he has fused his blood with that of Miss Mina. In life she will now become the foul thing of the night that he is.
But in hell's
No,
name...
come, Stuart. Come, there's not a moment to be lost.
Oh, but I love the fog. I love nights with fog.
Well, only yesterday you said you were afraid of the night.
This is another scene that's extremely dark on the VHS print of this film.
Yeah, we're fortunate to be able to afford higher quality prints now and have them come out and technology to advance.
There's that bat again.
You know, it's kind of a shame that a lot of these movies made at this time, like The Cat Creeps, is gone, and there's no the Spanish Frankenstein is gone. I'm sure they made one. You wonder if they'll ever be found again.
Well, I didn't say anything.
Yes, you did. You said, I will.
Oh, no, I didn't. John, come sit down.
Look at Helen Chandler's eyes in this.
There's that piece of cardboard again.
Well, they just want her to be able to sleep,
That funny little old professor.
but they want to watch her at the same
He
time.
has a crucifix. Now, I want you to get it away from you.
And I don't bring it up to be critical. I just remember it in the book that you loaned me. It was
Yeah, it's
mentioned.
in
Oh,
there.
he'll be wanting
But
to
he
get
makes a
back
good
to
case for it being
the
there.
night of Count
Gary
Dracula, or
Rhodes.
whatever it is.
Well, I don't know. You may be right, Mina.
She's not even listening to him now.
She's
Your
still
eyes.
zooming in on his neck.
Yeah, those eyes, the expression on her face right now.
They look at me so strangely. Mina. Mina, you're... No, Mina, no.
That's her father.
Give me that. What's the idea?
Still clueless here.
Trying to do frighten her to death?
No, I was trying to save her.
Save her. That's a fine way. It's all right, darling.
Oh, John, John. You
Well,
were
that-
so
that's good.
amazing.
It's finally cluing in on Jonathan Harker here.
After what's happened, I can't bear to look at it.
What's happened?
I can't tell you. I can't.
Oh, but you must tell me. I have a right to know.
Oh, John. You can believe everything he says. It's all the truth. Dracula,
Dracula? Oh, what's he done to you, dear? Tell me.
he came to me. He opened a thing in his arm. And he made me drink.
Ooh.
What is it? Who is it, Martin?
It's that big grey bat again, sir.
There's no use of wasting your bullets, Martin. They cannot harm that bat.
Now, I like this scene even though it's comedy. I like what the woman says in the.
And he says she's crazy,
Yeah.
and she doesn't disagree.
Yeah.
She says yes.
What do you see?
They're all crazy except you and me. Sometimes I have me doubts about you.
Yes.
Yes. And they're out in the cold. You can see their breath.
Yeah. Look at those little miniatures. I kind of don't understand. Of course, we have a plot. You know, you see his twitching in a lot of Facebook memes, GIFs, I mean, they're called GIFs. Can't understand why they leave her alone after she's always, you know, the
Well,
nurse.
Briggs is there. I mean,
Yeah, but the nurse can't do it. Don't they realize that? She's hypnotized by him. Of course, it's a plot. You know, it moves the plot forward. You know, I feel like I want to watch, even though I don't like the movie very much, Jess Franco's Dracula, because it does go all the way up, ends in, just to see it, it ends in Transylvania.
I still haven't watched that Dario Argento one that's there.
Didn't watch it either. I chose to watch something else that night on Friday. I watched The Reptile, believe it or not. A Hammer movie one. I have now watched over 60 horror films
in the month of October.
And if I average 3, I'll be watching over 90. Last year I watched 110 or so. But this year I have to cut back a little bit. This is my 4th horror film today. I watched Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and then I watched Devil Bat, and then I watched Werewolf of London before I came here. Now I'm watching Dracula. I may watch Dracula's Daughter before I go to bed tonight.
Come, Mr. Harker.
All right, we're getting near the very, very end, Steve. You should tell our one of our lucky viewers that.
Tell them what?
Tell our lucky viewers we're getting near the climax of the film now.
Well, I have to make an announcement about my movie next week, too.
Yes.
My movie next week is the 1972 Italian horror film Murder Mansion. So join me at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Sunday, October 27th.
I will not be here, but I'll be listening.
For Murder Mansion.
Listening and watching. See, Renfield gives it away here. I think he did it on purpose. But he didn't. But then he, of course, regrets it because he's under Dracula's spell. But it's an unforgivable thing Renfield is doing there.
I love that shot right there.
Oh, that is so great.
That pointed arch.
Yeah. And Renfield's screaming and pleading and stuff like that.
Well, another iconic sequence where he picks him up.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he falls off halfway off, and it looks like he falls on like a piano or something, organ. I could be wrong. It could be something else. I love this. I'm just gonna listen to it. I think in the Spanish Dracula, he's carrying Lupita Tovar. I could be wrong.
I'm loyal to you, Master. I'm your slave. I didn't betray you. Oh, no, don't. Don't kill me. Let me live, please. Punish me, torture me, but let me live. I can't die with all those lines on my conscience. All
This
that
right here. That right there is
Yes.
when he puts his...
That could be a good painting too, Steve. From Dracula's face and Renfield's back. This is such an incredibly powerful scene. I mean, Dracula running. Dracula makes it with like 1 second to spare right here, but you know what? He's kind of trapped at this point. The whole drama is, will he save Mina? Because Dracula can't go anywhere, really. Can we mention that when for a long time you didn't get to hear Dracula's groans to the extent you do because censors cut it? We're seeing the original scene of Dracula being staked that for like 30 or 40 years people didn't get to see.
And what was the reasoning for that?
The Hays Code said it was too explicit to show death agonies like that. When I was a kid, the first time I saw the movie, it wasn't this extreme. It wasn't this. Well, this is not extreme at all. It's ridiculous that they think it's a problem, but they cut it actually. Believe it or not. I remember the groan lasting for like about 1 second or something when I was watching the movie as a kid. Now this, they think Mina's in there, and if she's in there, she's a vampire now, and they're going to have to kill her. Or take her out of her undead state.
Get me a piece of stone, anything, to help me drive the stake through their hearts.
See, he says their hearts.
Yeah,
As if he thinks he's got to do Mina, too.
He left his hat there, I think. Didn't he? Here we go. Oh, she's...
Is she? How does she? She is not here. Then she may be alive. Mina! Mina!
Here we go.
sound right here.
Yeah. I like the final scene of them walking up the stairs. Listen to what Van Helsing says just before at the end. He's got another promise
I heard you calling,
to make.
but I couldn't say anything.
We thought he'd killed you, dear.
The daylight stopped him. Oh, if you could have seen the look on his face.
There's nothing more to fear, Miss Lena. Dracula is dead forever. No, you must go.
Aren't you coming with
So I want to thank my viewers for joining us this evening for the 1931 classic horror film Dracula, and we want to wish
That's a great final scene, by the way, too.
we want to wish actor Bela Lugosi a happy 142nd birthday.
Yes. Thanks a lot, people, for watching this. I'm Doug Gibson.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Please wait. Yep, there it's recording. You'll see this.
Let's turn that off now.